Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Lady Chairperson, thank you very much for introducing me. My affiliation is given here. I have been working at the Research Center Jülich for the last 35 years. This is a big national research center in Germany with about 5,000 persons working. From them, about 800 PhDs and about 800 engineers and supporting staff with about 200 PhD students from different universities. In Germany, it is counted as a model of education. One calls the Jülicher model, which means Jülich is surrounded by about 10 universities, and the leading scientists from Jülich, from 800 PhDs, about 60 of them, they have professorships at Aachen University, at Cologne University, Düsseldorf, Bonn, Bochum, they're different universities. And for the last 15 years, I have been professor at the University of Cologne, so this is why two affiliations. But today I'm not going to talk about my scientific work as Dr. Alam has talked. I shall be talking about two international institutions with which I have been associated in my humble capacity as the representative of Germany. So the topics will be, I shall first say a few general words about about the data banks and databases. Then I will describe the data bank in Paris. Then I shall describe the IAEA nuclear data section in Vienna. Then I shall go over to international information exchange, how the international exchange of information in the field of nuclear sciences takes place. Then these centers have some special advanced educational programs. And finally, I hope to end within 25 minutes, some conclusions and perspectives. Some general considerations. Now, what is a data bank? Well, one can say a data bank is a bank where there is no money. There is intellect, but there is no money. It can be defined as an establishment dealing with well-documented, well-systematized, and validated scientific knowledge available for use by all who contribute to its success and its running. It's not simply a compilation of data which is done in data banks. Important is the validated scientific knowledge. It's also not purely information technology. It's really a hard science where the data are worked properly for the use, for benefit in different fields. A data bank could be discipline-oriented in one field, for example, chemistry data bank, a physics data bank, a blood bank, a monetary bank. It could be multidisciplinary. Sometimes physics and chemistry and biology, different things, they are treated together. A data bank could be at a national level, it could be at a regional level, or more important is that it could be at an international level. And a data bank should constitute collective effort for concerted progress in one region. For example, the data bank in Paris is serving the OECD countries in Western Europe. What is now a database? A database is a set of data which is also well organized and well documented. And it should be user-oriented. It should be easy to use. It's not, again, a simple collection of data. It must be tested and properly dependable database. Mostly databases are discipline-oriented. They deal with one specific topic. And if many databases are handled in a section, that is just like a data bank. So the preparation of a database, it could be by a company for its chemical products, or it could be by some electronics company for its own products, or it could be done at an international level as the IAEA is doing, and that I will try to show later. The management, how they are managed, I think that is important. The management of databases and the exchange of data, really good exchange of data, they are done best through an international center, for example, the nuclear data section of the IAEA. So I go over now to the next topic after this general discussion, go to the NEA data bank in Paris. NEA is Nuclear Energy Agency, which is complementing or sometimes competing with the International Atomic Energy Agency. And this Nuclear Energy Agency is part of the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The NEA established about 30 years ago this data bank. And what are the members? The members are all which are in the NEA, but USA and Canada, they do not participate in the data bank. USA has its own data center in Brookhaven. They participate in other activities, but this data bank is for Western Europe, and after the fall of the Iron Curtain, the East European countries, they have also joined it, so it is serving Western and Central Europe. Turkey is part of the OECD and part of the NEA. Turkey could make use of it. But I feel sorry to say that there is no Turkish delegation at the meetings. Sometimes the third secretary from the embassy in Paris comes for 2 hours and then leaves and don't make use of these technical informations which are available. Korea is part of the data bank, Japan is part of the data bank, and Australia is part of the data bank. Now, what does the data bank do? What are the functions? One major function is the compilation of nuclear data from primary journals. We know there is an information explosion. There are thousands of journals published every month. As an individual, one cannot go through all the journals. So some of the things which are related with nuclear energy, they are compiled by experts sitting in Paris, or they give contracts to some people in Eastern Europe, on contract people are working. So this is the complete compilation of all the information which is published. They also cover conference proceedings. They also cover some reports from national labs. But the area of the sphere of work is limited to Western Europe and Japan, because that is the area of work of the NEA data bank. In North America, it is done by Brookhaven, and in rest of the world, it is done by the IAEA. So compilation is one part, but that's just the beginning of the story. Next is the evaluation of data. One has to see, the expert evaluator sees how reliable are these data. What are the uncertainties? He has to, or she has to build up the correlations and to see the uncertainties which are covariances coming through it. Now comes in the theory also. Nuclear model calculations are done. So modern evaluation technology has become nuclear model calculations in support of the experiment. But experiment has the prime importance. If the theory doesn't fit in, one tries to fit the theory through some change of parameters to the experiment. So this is a big activity in Paris as well as in some other centers. Next stage is once the data have been evaluated, they have to be validated. And the validation is done through some new type of experiments called benchmarking, where the data are considered and some aspect of them, they are treated, they are investigated in a network of different laboratories. And last not least is the quality assurance. The data, somebody has to guarantee that these data are correct, so they are considered very carefully in the end, and when they fit into the quality of the data, then they are released for general use. If they do not fit in, one starts again doing some experiments, compiling, evaluating, validating, till in the end one has a sort of data files which are used. So these are the three functions of the data bank. There are about 10 PhDs working in the center in Paris. Services is the most important part now. The dissemination of data in a proper way, the supply of calculational codes. So this is the second area. So many calculational codes are available from Paris. Everybody can have them. It's all for peaceful purposes, for development of energy. The only thing is the application has to go through proper channel. If it is from Western Europe, the liaison officers, they will do it. If it comes from the third world countries, it has to go through the IAEA. But the information is available for everyone. And last not least, manpower training. So data bank is often having special courses and workshops where people from different countries, they are trained. So that it's an activity which cannot be done simply by statisticians. It's highly technical work, well-qualified staff is mandatory, versatility is needed, and international orientation is necessary. The languages are French and English, but mostly it is English which is used. Now, how the management of such a data bank is done? The data bank people are independent in doing many things, but the policy has to come from above. And the policy comes, the OECD Nuclear Energy Agency, the steering committee controls the whole policy of the Nuclear Energy Agency, but there are several committees, one, for example, on safety, the other one on legal matters, the third one is on reactor physics, and one of the committees is the Nuclear Science Committee, which looks ahead what type of science is to be developed. And I had the privilege of belonging to this committee as a German representative right from its inception in 1991, so for 15 years. And one group of this committee is the executive group, which controls the data bank. And here also I had the privilege of being the chairman of this executive group for several years. I may make a joke here, as I said, data bank has no money. I was the chairman of the executive board, but I never received any penny for the services which I rendered there. So this is science, but that's also fun. Okay, so this center now today is regarded as an international center of excellence with respect to data and knowledge of nuclear energy development. The NEA is advising also the East European countries now how to make the reactors safer, and when new reactors are, power reactors are planned, how to use the proper data for the calculations. I come now to the second data section, is the nuclear data section in Vienna. This is one of the very active technical sections in Vienna. Many sections are doing only administrative things, safeguards and things like this. This is a technical section where many PhDs are working together. This was established by the IAEA about 35 years ago. And here all countries of the world which are members of the IAEA, they are also members of this section. What are the functions of this data center, one can say? It also compiles data. This compilation is now for the area which is not covered by the OECD, so the rest of the world, and they put in a proper format called the experimental data, X4 format. But a very special case in the IAEA is, which is not in the other centers, is the development of data through CRPs. CRP is short version of coordinated research projects. If one has a feeling that in some areas the data are not properly documented and available, then a consultants meeting is called. The consultants meeting decides that one has to look more carefully at this, and then maybe 8 or 10 laboratories which are experts in that field are asked to do some new experiments, do new calculations, do new measurements, and there one tries to involve all countries, North America, Europe, Japan, some developing countries also. So there have been some CRPs, coordinated research projects, where Pakistan has participated, where India has participated, Thailand has participated, China is participating. So this is a real international effort to develop a database, and some of the examples of a fusion database has been developed in Vienna, dosimetry database, and a new tinge, a new color has come now in recent years, medical radioisotopes. So far, atomic energy was only for reactor power, but the IAEA is moving now fast, even non-energy related data, for example, for analytics, radio analytics, materials research, medical applications. So the nuclear data in these areas, they are also treated now quite extensively. Now, how is the management done? Management of these international data files is done. There is good coordination between all the centers of the world, and it also provides services, the IAEA reliable data, and it's giving manpower training. I will come to this later. Now, all the activities of the IAEA in the field of nuclear data, they are covered under the guidance of the International Nuclear Data Committee. This committee has 16 members. Any country where there is a sizable nuclear data activity is represented. Canada, USA, 4 European countries, England, France, Germany, Italy, from Eastern Europe, 1 country, Japan, China, Russia. So 16 countries. And I have again had the privilege of representing Germany here since 1995. And for the last 5 years, I'm still the chairman of the INDC, so International Nuclear Data Committee. And I feel a bit proud that the change towards non-energy applications has started since I joined this committee. Now it has become a very strong activity. So IAEA NDC is the prime organization overseeing free exchange of nuclear data on a worldwide basis. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, data banks and databases are really well-documented things which are available to all the countries. I come now to the next topic, the data exchange, the modality of data exchange, free exchange of nuclear data. There are 4 centers, big centers in the world, serving 4 different regions. The first one is the National Nuclear Data Center in Brookhaven in USA. Geographically, it serves USA and Canada. It is doing mostly energy-related data and nuclear structure data. The data bank in Paris, which I've just described, it covers OECD countries, except North America, because they are covered here. It's dealing with energy data, it's dealing with computer programs, and it's also dealing with chemical data related to energy. So the chemistry of uranium, the chemistry of thorium, and the chemistry of neptunium and plutonium, all these elements, they have very difficult chemistry. The speciation is one problem, and one is talking these days of speciation and transmutation, so chemical data are also very important. This is the Russian data in Obninsk. I do not know real meaning of CGD. This is from Russian, but they serve, in Obninsk, they serve their own Russian Federation, as well as some of the East European countries still, and they are dealing mostly with energy. The IAEA nuclear data section is for all member states. It is dealing both with energy and non-energy related data, as well as it has very strong education and training program, especially the Trieste workshops, to which I will come later. What are the cooperative efforts now which all centers are doing? They're doing compilation of experimental data, which is X4 in their different regions. They're doing preparation of databases for applications, and they're preparing evaluated data files like ENDS, TF, ENSTF. And the international exchange of data takes place through agreed procedures, serving all member states of NEA and IAEA. I may emphasize here, this is all for peaceful applications of energy, as well as for non-energy related applications. Come to the next topic now. Such centers, they have a special role in advanced education. They contribute significantly to advanced education through training courses for beginners. In Paris, there are training courses for beginners. In Vienna, there are training courses for beginners. There are regional workshops where the new things are discussed and people get acquainted with the higher areas of work. Then there is international summer and winter colleges, especially in Trieste. Now today, I think one is very familiar with the Trieste courses. But I go back to 30 years. 1975, 1976, Dr. Joseph Schmidt, the head of the nuclear data section, was very close to Professor Abdus Salam, late Professor Abdus Salam. He was director at that time. He was not at that time Nobel laureate. And this section represented almost the whole of IAEA. And since then, special courses have been organized, especially in reactor physics, where the data experts and the physicists, they have been participating every 2 years. It has become a tradition. Every 2 years, this course has taken place, and thousands of participants, thousands of scientists from different parts of the world have taken in these 30 years, participated in these courses. Later on, the scope was widened. Nuclear theory was in the beginning, then reactor physics came. Now there are courses in materials research and also in nuclear medicine. I may tell here, in November next year, there will be another course on nuclear data for medical applications, and I will also be involved with the IAEA in this course. So dissemination of advanced knowledge is an integral part of the activities of the data centers. I come now to conclusions, the last thing, and perspectives. Lady Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, I have tried to show that data banks and databases constitute well-organized efforts to provide authentic and validated scientific data. The use and support of data centers may be at a national level, like in USA. It may be at a regional level, like in Paris, or international level, like the IAEA. For concerted progress and for the benefit of all, joint efforts are necessary. Data centers allow properly controlled and organized exchange of scientific information. And data centers contribute to special advanced education. And in the end, my plea would be that groups of Islamic countries should endeavor to build regional data centers related to various fields. I have just given an example in the field of nuclear data. It could be any field, and I think these regional cooperations are very important. Thank you very much for your attention.